I think Frontier might have given us some clues about their next Planet game, and we just didn't realize it yet. Because if you look back at Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo, and even the Jurassic World Evolution games, Frontier has actually been testing all kinds of features and ideas in their games for years. And some of those things that seemed completely random at the time suddenly make a lot more sense when you look at them now. So Frontier has officially announced that they have started working on a brand new Planet game franchise with a completely new setting compared to Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo. And according to Frontier, this new game will still have everything we know and love from the Planet series: creativity, management, and meaningful simulation. But that's basically all they have told us so far. So naturally, I started wondering, what could this new Planet game actually be? And the more I started looking through the previous Planet games, the more little things I found that made me go, wait a minute. Because what if Frontier has been testing some of these new features already without us realizing that they could eventually become part of an entirely new game? And honestly, some of these connections are actually pretty interesting. Now, quickly before we dive in, I would love to thank our fantastic sponsor of the channel, Instant Gaming. If you're looking for some new games to play, or maybe you want to complete your Planet Zoo collection before Planet Zoo 2, definitely make sure to check out Instant Gaming. And if you're looking for something different to play, they also have Planet Coaster 2 with their latest Parades and Silver Screen pack, The Sims 4, Jurassic World Evolution 3, Farming Simulator, City Skylines, and many other great games on their website with a really great discount. And by buying through their website, you'll not only get a great deal, but you'll also be supporting the channel. You can find a link in the description of this video and in the pinned message of the comment section, so you can easily find it. Hey guys, my name is the Lady Designer, and welcome back to another Planet game speculation video. If you're excited to find out what Frontier could possibly be working on next, definitely make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because today we're going to go through some of the little clues, features, and additions we've seen across Frontier games, and then we're going to talk about what I currently think could be the most likely candidate for their next Planet game. And trust me, by the end of this video, I think you're going to understand why I have a very specific theory in mind. So let's start by looking at some of the things Frontier has already been testing in their previous games. So let's go all the way back to Planet Coaster Run, because there are actually a few things in that game, looking back now, feel pretty interesting. For example, we had a pufferfish statue in the Pirates theme. We had snakes, crocodiles, and hippos added later on with a paid DLC. And then we also had rats and crows, which might sound completely random right now, but we're going to come back to those later. And then we have Jurassic World Evolution, where we eventually got aviaries with fully flying animals and aquariums with fully aquatic animals. And now with Planet Zoo 2, we're finally getting those features in the Planet series as well. And of course, in Jurassic World Evolution 3, we also have things like nests and eggs, which are once again becoming incredibly interesting when we look at what Frontier is doing right now with Planet Zoo 2. But it wasn't just Jurassic World Evolution. Planet Zoo 1 also had quite a few things in hindsight could be seen as little hints towards Planet Zoo 2. We already had posters and images hidden around staff buildings, including parrots on posters and even on magazines. And there was a bird on a South America pack wall decoration and canopy. We had a sloth mug and sloth poster in the vet room before the tropical pack released. And there was even an owl mug, which, well, most of us know from the start, and everyone wanted to have that owl mug at that point in time. And then with the aquatic pack, we started seeing fish on signs as well. And there are also bees and ladybugs signs represented in the game. I think it was with the conservation pack, which we're definitely going to talk about later on as well. And there's also a squirrel hidden on on a Europe pack sign. And yes, we're going to talk about that one later too, because when you start putting all of these little things together, I think it becomes really interesting to ask ourselves, what has Frontier already been testing for their next game without us realizing it? And what are the things they were hinting with already towards their next games or next plans without us realizing it? And that's where things get really interesting. Now, before we go and talk about what I think is my biggest guess for Frontier's newest Planet game, I quickly want to talk about Planet Coaster 3. I know it's early, but okay, hear me out. Because years ago, even before Planet Zoo and Jurassic World Evolution were announced, I'm not entirely sure about the Jurassic World Evolution, but there was a leak about the future plans of Frontier developments. And this leak actually really predicted quite a few things that eventually happened, including things like the space lags for Elite Dangerous, Planet Zoo was already leaked in there, which obviously wasn't announced at that time. Let's just make that really clear. So all of the things that were announced in that leak eventually came true, but it also mentioned Planet Coaster too. And in that leak, it's said that Frontier was in talks with Disney. Now, we all know that Planet Coaster 2 turned out to be something completely different, but hear me out. Because there is one thing about Planet Coaster 2 that I find really, really weird, and that's the fact that we're still missing Captain Lockjaw, Princess Emily, and basically any princess entertainers. And especially now that we have the parades pack, how easy would it have been to add Princess Emily with a free update or Captain Lockjaw with a free update? Because I was literally dying to build my own little fairy tale parade with pirates and princesses until I noticed they're not even in the game. And at this point, it doesn't really look like Frontier is planning to add them anytime soon anymore. So there are a couple of possibilities here. Okay, maybe Frontier is actually working on some kind of fairy tale pack for Planet Coaster 2, which could bring in a whole bunch of fairy tale themed scenery, animatronics, and entertainers, including hopefully pirates, of course, and hopefully maybe even mermaids. I mean, there was a mermaid statue in Planet Coaster 1. Why was she in there? I'm questioning everything right now, but that would fit so nicely. And honestly, imagine something like the guided tours as well that we have right now in Planet Zoo. I mean, imagine having a park employee just walking around your theme park with an entertainer, and then guests just walking around or walking behind that entertainer through the park. I mean, that feels totally Disney-ish, right? It would fit so well with the whole Disney theme. But okay, what if Frontier is still in talks with Disney? Or maybe they're already working on some kind of sequel or separate game in collaboration with Disney. Oh man, that would be just so fantastic. And perhaps they're then using the Parades pack as a little bit of a testing ground to make sure that the parade system works really well from day one if they ever do something like a Planet Disney game or Planet Disneyland in the future. Now, I'm not saying that this would be the next IP. I actually don't really think so, seeing just a time span between Planet Coaster 2 and a potential sequel, so it doesn't feel very likely to me, to be honest. But I would absolutely love to see that happen. And after that old leak specifically mentioned that Frontier was in talks with Disney, I'm definitely going to keep my eyes open for a potential Planet Coaster sequel or spin-off at some point that could still include that Disney collaboration. Because if that old leak was right about so many other things, who knows, maybe there was more to that Disney part than we originally thought. Now, having said that, I do still want to mention that I truly believe that one day there will be some kind of Planet Dinosaur game as well. I mean, we got Dodo statue in Planet Zoo 1 from day one, which always confused me so much. I mean, why a Dodo statue in Planet Zoo? But that's just the same as the mermaid. But now we know the pufferfish was maybe a hint towards a Planet Zoo someday. Maybe they had plans at that point in time that they wanted to add the pufferfish as well in Planet Zoo 1, and then at some point they realized like, okay, that's not going to happen and we're going to save it for Planet Zoo 2. I mean, that could still be a thing. So yeah, the mermaid, the dodo statue, who knows what that is referring to or not. I mean, I could be completely wrong here, but as long as Frontiers still has their collaboration with Universal, I kind of don't think something like a Planet Dinosaur is going to happen anytime soon. But however, I do think it's almost a no-brainer that at some point that collaboration with Universal is going to end. And when it does, I could absolutely see Frontier creating some kind of Planet Dinosaur game where they could take everything they've learned from Planet Zoo and, of course, all their amazing dinosaurs and all animals that they created for Jurassic World Evolution. They will be able to use that for a Planet Dinosaur game and you will be able to create the ultimate dinosaur park. That will be just so amazing. Just imagine having all those amazing building tools, detailed habitats, animal behaviors, breeding, babies, genetics, conservation mechanics, but then with dinosaurs, like being able to build actual proper underwater viewing galleries, real aviaries like we're going to get in Planet Zoo 2. I think that will be just freaking amazing. And I think the Jurassic World Evolution community is dying to get all of these features just in one amazing dinosaur game. But I don't think that's Frontier's newly announced Planet game at this point in time either, of course. So let's go back and talk about that new IP. Because Frontier has now officially announced that they are working on a completely new Planet game franchise, which is currently expected to launch somewhere around the end of 2027. And when I started thinking about what this new game could possibly be, I decided to do something a little bit different. Instead of just looking at what kind of games Frontier could make, I started looking at the current Planet games. And more specifically, what kind of things have Frontier already been testing in these games without us realizing that they could potentially be useful for a completely new Planet game. Because when you look at everything we've already seen in Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo, and the Jurassic World Evolution games, there are actually quite a few interesting things hidden in plain sight. And that's where I think this gets really interesting. Now, if you look at some of the things we already have in the Planet games, there are a few other possibilities that could come to mind. For example, we already have gift shops and restaurants. And honestly, you could easily look at those and think, could Frontier be working towards a Planet shopping mall game or maybe even a Planet restaurant game? But then the question becomes, would there actually be enough interesting gameplay to keep players entertained for a longer period of time? Because if you look at how people play the current Planet games, creating a restaurant or a gift shop can definitely be fun. You can design the building, decorate everything, manage the different areas. But would I personally want to play an entire game that is built around that? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. And that's where I think it really depends on what Frontier actually wants to do with this new IP. Because we don't know if this is going to be another major Planet franchise that they want to support for many years with lots of DLC and expansions, or if they are looking at something smaller. Maybe it's a smaller Planet title that they can support for a year, maybe two, with a few smaller packs before moving on to something else. I mean, just think back of the Tycoon games. I don't know how many of you, but with my age, I'm always 18, of course. But yeah, I remember so many different Tycoon games, and it could well be that Frontier is changing their strategy towards those creative management simulation games, but also are looking into the smaller Planet titles, which I think is just a very smart idea, to be honest. But Yeah, we're at this point just guessing, I guess. Now, there are already some interesting possibilities because Frontier does actually own a few planet-related names already, and they also created some official social media pages for it. So think of things like Planet Transport and Planet Architect, and I wouldn't completely rule out something like a Planet City game either, especially when you think about the restaurants and gift shops and all other things we already have in the Planet games. But honestly, I do feel like that's a bit of a far-fetch, at least when looking at the experience Frontier has right now with their current Planet games. I mean, they obviously know how to create these little pieces of a bigger simulation, but turning something like restaurants, shops, or a city into an entire Planet game with enough depth or like in-depth management gameplay to keep us players playing for years after that, that's a very different thing. So while I wouldn't completely rule out these ideas, there is another possibility that I think makes a lot more sense when we start looking at what Frontier has already been testing. So let's dig a little deeper. I know a few content creators get really excited about the idea of a Planet Resort game, and I honestly can see where this idea is coming from. I mean, we had hotels in Planet Coaster 1, we still don't have them in Planet Coaster 2. Now that could simply mean that Frontier is planning to add hotels to Planet Coaster 2 at a later stage, but what if they're holding them back for a potential future IP? Because if you think about it, they could combine hotels with things like the swimming pools we already have in Planet Coaster 2 and build an entire resort management game around it. And I can definitely see how that could work, but personally, I don't think I would get that excited about a game like that unless there was a really good purpose behind it and enough interesting gameplay to keep me coming back. Because honestly, I would much rather have hotels added to Planet Coaster 2 or even Planet Zoo 2 than have an entire separate game built around them. And I kind of feel like Frontier knows this as well. I mean, the swimming pools in Planet Coaster 2 are great, but at the end of the day, I think most people are playing Planet Coaster 2 because they want to build and manage a theme park, not because they want to build swimming pools. So yeah, I wouldn't completely rule out Planet Resort game, but personally, I find it less likely to be Frontier's next Planet IP. Now, let's talk about what I think is the most likely candidate for Frontier's next Planet game, because honestly, I think their next IP could be something in the range of Planet Farm game. And the more I think about it, the more things actually start to make sense. Because remember, we got the Barnyard Animal Pack for Planet Zoo. I was until this day just so super confused about that pack because it felt so incredibly random. Like, I mean, yes, we got a bunch of really cute farm animals, which I absolutely love. There were amazing pieces in there. But there were also some things in that pack that felt a little bit strange for Planet Zoo, game-changing, but like pretty random, maybe, if you call it that way, and look back at it. Like, for example, we got people being able to freely walk through the habitat. You had to put down these hand sanitizer stations and have like this walk through habitat, and then they were able to interact with the animals. They were able to free roam and interact with the animals. And these are things that, as far as I remember, we had never seen in any other game. Like, it wasn't implemented in Planet Coaster 2. It was never implemented to anything else in Planet Zoo. I don't think it's been implemented in Jurassic World Evolution. So why were they testing this? Why add all of these features but don't do anything with it? As far as we know right now, there's also no sign or clue that this is going to be a feature in Planet Zoo 2, at least not as of right now. So why Why? So now that we're getting Planet Zoo 2, I'm starting to wonder if some of the things that they're adding in Planet Zoo 2 are also testing grounds for something else. Because look at what we're getting in Planet Zoo 2. We're getting these huge, beautiful wildlife reserves that we are going to be able to build ourselves, like an empty map, and you will have grass that is growing. There are signs that we need to pay attention to the growing elements. Like, we don't know exactly how this will work, but there is going to be something we need to keep in mind as far as the article goes. We're getting seasons, and from everything that we've seen so far, it seems like the foliage that you're building is going to react to these seasons as well. And all of that would fit perfectly into a farming game. Because imagine taking all of these systems and using them to actually create your own farm. The core gameplay could be building your own farm completely from scratch with, of course, everything how we are able and used to play in Planet games. So you have the entire creative freedom that we have right now. You could build barns, stables, greenhouses, silos, workshops, markets with the little shops, the counters that we have, animal pens and farmhouses. You could shape the terrain yourself, create beautiful rivers and ponds, and maybe even add fish to them, because we're able to release fish into the wild. And then you have these beautiful ponds with amazing fish now, which is just freaking fantastic. And if you look at the beautiful wildlife reserves we're seeing in Planet Zoo 2, we already know Frontier is working towards these beautiful hills and forests and fields. And with the planet creativity, we could also go into smaller details like the hedgerows and stone walls and fences and flower meadows, orchards. And honestly, all of this feels like it would fit so naturally within the systems that we're already seeing in Planet Zoo 2. And then, of course, we already have a pretty good starting point when it comes down to the animals, because Planet Farm Game could easily reuse all of the animals from the Barnyard Animal Pack. So the Sussex chicken, the Highland cattle, Alpine goat, alpaca, American Standard donkey, Hill Retner sheep, and Tamworth pig. I mean, these are just from the Barnyard Animal Pack, but you could also think of animals like the dairy cows, potentially with actual milking schedules. And imagine if guests or maybe farm workers could actually interact with the cows and milk them themselves. I mean, they're already testing these interactions, right? We could have beef cattle, sheep for wool, goats for milk, pigs for meat, chickens for eggs, and then we could maybe have ducks and geese and swans and turkeys. They would all fit so perfectly. And imagine horses and horse riding. I mean, we have the Przewalski's horse. They have a horse model, so they could use that as well for farm game. And imagine the alpacas and llamas. They could fit very nicely as well in a Planet Farm Game. And maybe even rabbits, because we've already seen what appears to be some kind of hare in Planet Zoo 2. You may have already have a hare confirmed, but by the time I'm recording this, we've only seen a glimpse of it. So who knows? It's something that could eventually make it as well to a farming game. I mean, a hare or rabbits in general just would fit so well. And then we could look even further to something like beekeeping and fish farming, different crops, greenhouses. There are honestly so many possibilities. And with the fact that you are able to drive this Jeep in Jurassic World Evolution, I mean, driving a tractor could definitely also be something that Frontier already has some knowledge of, right? So that's also not really a far-fetch. But going back a little bit about the animals, like especially if Frontier doesn't add some of these animals to Planet Zoo 2, apart from the hare that is, but as of right now, we have not seen any confirmation of any of these animals coming to Planet Zoo 2. So it really starts to feel a little bit like a no-brainer that they could be keeping some of them for a future farming game. Now, we remember those rats and crows I mentioned earlier from Planet Coaster. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Frontier could reuse those as well. Like, obviously, those were like these animatronics, but they did already create those models, right? Rats could easily become a lot of sense for a farming game. It could even become part of the management side of the game. Where like you have to deal with pests or protect your crops, keep your barns clean. And then we also have the bees and ladybugs, which we already seen represented in Planet Zoo as signs. Like, okay, it's maybe a little bit of a far-fetched, but we also had bee and insect VFXs in Planet Coaster. I mean, we're going back 10 years in time, or was it 10 years? Well, maybe a little bit later. But I'm not entirely sure how much sense it would make to add all of that in Planet Zoo too, unless these effects are specifically connected to the wildlife reserves, because seeing bees flying around your reserve could actually be a really nice little detail that shows your ecosystem is becoming healthier and more alive. But they would fit perfectly in a farming game as well. Bees could be connected to beekeeping, pollination, and crops. Ladybugs could be part of your natural pest control. And suddenly these little details that seemed completely random in previous games start making a lot more sense now. And then there's one more thing. That squirrel that is hidden in the Europack signs in Planet Zoo. Now that could obviously just be a little decorative detail, but it could also be a hint that we're going to get squirrels in Planet Zoo too. But once again, a squirrel would also fit perfectly into a farming game too. And then of course, we can't forget about the birds and nesting. I mean, farming game with birds, eggs, and nests, that's pretty much a no-brainer, right? And this is where I'm starting to think that maybe all of these little things aren't actually as random as they seemed when we first got them, because Frontier has now spent years building new systems, testing these mechanics, and adding all of these little details into their games. And now you put all of them together, a Planet Farm game suddenly doesn't sound nearly as crazy as it might have sounded a few years ago. Honestly, when I look at everything Frontier has learned over the years, everything they've already tested in Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo, Jurassic World Evolution, and now everything they're planning for Planet Zoo 2, I really feel like a Planet Farm game could be a really good fit for being their next IP, because it would tick so many boxes Frontier seems to be focusing on at this point. It would be creative, it would be management simulation, it would have animals, which are obviously always super popular, and well, farming games are pretty popular too. So I kind of feel like I might actually be onto something here. But obviously we have no idea yet if I'm completely right or if I just connected a bunch of completely random things that have absolutely nothing to do with each other. But that's what makes this so much fun, I guess. I am just so curious to find out what Frontier is actually working on and whether I'm anywhere close to being right on track with this theory. Because if they suddenly announce a Planet Farm game in a year or two, I am going to be looking back at all of these little clues and be like, ha, I knew it. But obviously, time will tell. So now I just want to hear from you guys. What do you think Frontier's next Planet game could be? Do you think a Planet Farm game actually makes sense after listening to all my rambling here? Or do you think I'm completely wrong and Frontier is secretly working on something else we haven't even thought about yet? And if Frontier was making a Planet Farm game, what kind of features and animals would you like to see in it? What kind of management aspects would you like to see in it? Do let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to hear what you guys think. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course make sure to stick around for all the upcoming Planet Zoo 2 and Frontier news at some point, because I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes open for any little clue Frontier gives us next. And who knows, it might be fitting more to the farming game niche, but maybe there will be signs towards a completely different IP. Whatever happens, I am super excited to hear more. Thank you all so much for watching, and I really do hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye guys!